What is going on, everybody? You are back on another edition of Ballin Over Beers. I am Justin Dupengeyser. This is the NFL show. Before we get going here, let's just remind everybody, if you're watching, smash the like button, leave some comments. We're going to be talking some free agents here. Leave a comment and let us know maybe one move you'd like to see, maybe even a trade that you'd like to see this offseason for your team. As a Chiefs fan, I'm hoping that they trade for a left tackle still because they haven't been able to sign anybody yet. But it goes a long way towards us. So subscribe, like, all that good stuff. I am joined tonight by one of my two fellas, Mr. James Fitch. We're missing AK tonight, James. He is on vacation, but how are you doing?
I am doing well, my man. We are slumming it here in Western New York, where it's been a cool 60, 70 degrees.
Yeah,
AK's living it up in Florida, and I'm sure he's having a blast. But he picked I guess, a bad week to leave with the weather
I know.
here.
For us right now in March in New York, it's like beautiful out and take it all day.
Snowstorm coming next week, probably.
It's almost imminent. You can't be this long, this nice for us, you know.
Right on April Fool's Day, I bet. Like, just some cruel, sick joke.
Yeah, exactly. Just not good. I know. I'm coaching now, and it's been pretty nice. I was worried at the beginning of the year we would have be coaching in blizzards and stuff because you never know in March. But it's been yeah, I actually got burnt. Got sunburned on our first game, so I'll take
Crazy.
that over. I'll take that over snow
For sure.
for sure.
So free agency is we're in the thick of it. I feel like it's starting to get to that like quiet stage where all the big names have
Yeah.
pretty much kind of filtered their way out, and you've got some stragglers, and then I feel like you've got the guys that are going to be making moves closer to the draft or even closer to the season. I feel like we're starting to get to that point.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. Like I said, like as a Chiefs fan, I've been trying to follow, to see who, because they have needs at like wide receiver, for example. Are they going to bring somebody in? And they've had conversations with guys, and apparently they just can't get anyone to sign. And I think it's pretty interesting that because everybody kind of assumed that, hey, everybody will want to go sign with Kansas City, if you're a free agent offensive player, because even if it's a short-term deal, it potentially have a huge year and then go get paid somewhere else big. But that hasn't really been the case. First guy we'll talk about, Juju Smith-Schuster. He ended up going back to Pittsburgh for apparently less money, which to me, I find it interesting. I can kind of see why, because if you're in Kansas City's offense, you're going to play third fiddle at best to Kelsey and Hill, right? Like for Juju,
Yeah.
to him, it's odd to me though too, because they still have Deontay Johnson, they still have Chase Claypool, and they have Big Ben, who is not that good. Like,
I,
right?
from a target share perspective, I think I agree with your point. Like,
Yeah,
it's not going to be any better. I don't know if some of that's like, I just want to play with Big Ben for I think everyone knows it's his last year. So maybe he just wants to come back and, play with him for his last year. I think it's interesting that he only did sign a 1-year deal. So I think he'll probably be just speculation now, but I can see him going, and maybe he revisits Kansas City next year. Um, I do find it interesting that they have not been able to sign anybody at wide receiver. I mean, are there any names out there as a Chiefs fan that you want to see them look at, or you think
not
makes
really.
sense?
Not really. I mean, they missed out on like Josh Reynolds, right? Because Josh Reynolds was the other name that was kind of thrown out there, and he's somebody I would not have minded at all. Come in and compete as a third receiver guy. He showed he could do that with the Rams. I think he's somebody who would have been okay. T.Y. Hilton, I mean, he's up there in age. Like, I don't know if he's any better or worse than McCole Hardman or Byron Pringle at this point. Maybe a little bit more polished of a route runner than those two guys. But
Him and Sammy are like the same guy to me at this point.
right, they just, I mean, it's so weird. Like Sammy seems like he's like so old because he feels like he's been in the league forever, but he's still not that old. I mean, he's not even
Yeah,
30 yet,
yeah.
which is pretty crazy. He was just on a visit to Baltimore, but apparently no deal got done there. What would does that even make a difference? Like if he goes to Baltimore, does he have any fantasy value at all?
No, I don't. I don't know if it's like a downgrade or an upgrade. Like I just think wherever he goes, it's Sammy, right? It's just neutral.
Yeah,
The best offense you can be in is in Kansas City. So I guess anywhere you go is a slight downgrade, but I just think he's that type of player where, he's not getting drafted in your fantasy drafts, and
no,
it's going to take him to have 1, 2 solid games in a row where he proves that he's not hurt before you're even scooping him up off your waiver wire. He's that kind of guy. So yeah, I don't think he'll land somewhere, but I don't know.
it'll be interesting too because he is somebody like you said that he can't stay healthy. So like wherever he goes, doesn't even matter. Like he's not a guy that you're going to be looking to scoop up. A lot of these guys now at this point are guys that you're not going to be probably, signing or picking up if you have a dynasty or whatever, drafting them if you have, if you're
Yeah.
in the league. Like the names at this point, like you said, are getting pretty scarce. A couple running backs did get signed to Tevin Coleman to the Jets, Damian Williams to the Bears. The Damian Williams is kind of interesting to me. They have
I
Dave.
like both those moves.
Yeah, I do too. One, Tevin Coleman goes to the Jets, where Salah is going to the Jets, obviously, and comes with that 49ers offense, so familiarity there. And then Damian Williams goes to the Bears, who had Matt Nagy, who was with Kansas City when Damian Williams was there, so there's familiarity there. So I think both these moves are actually kind of interesting, as maybe
Yeah.
flyers, for fantasy.
Yeah, no, I like the Williams signing in Chicago. They've got Tariq Cohen there too. Who's coming off an injury. He missed most of last season, and then Montgomery, who had a slow start but came on strong last year. But I think they could use a solid number two. I still view as Tariq Cohen as more of a third down guy, pass catching guy, special team, punt return, things like that. So I like
Right.
the Williams signing, and I've always liked Tevin Coleman. He's had some injuries, but I think he's a decent back. They got him on a 1 year deal for like $2 million. So
Right.
that's a good veteran signing just to kind of bolster that backfield. I mean, I don't even know who did they sign anybody else. I can't. I'm drawing a blank on that. But I don't
The
really know
Jets.
who else they have. Yeah,
No, the Jets backfield is pretty sparse to begin with. They had Trenton Cannon. Um, they had who was the rookie that they drafted last year?
yeah. I'm drawing a blank.
Uh,
Adams. Is there an Adams?
there might have, Josh Adams. He was formerly with the Eagles. He was there for a little
Yeah.
bit. Um, yeah, but that Frank Gore is obviously gone, which somehow he was still getting a ton of carries last year, which is unbelievable at his age. And I just think that again with the fact that they were able to get him, and he's going to a place with the San Francisco familiarity. To me, that's also kind of a sign that they're probably going to want to run that ball, right? They're going to want to do what the 49ers do, run the wide zone, run the play action stuff off of that. We kind of talked about it before a little bit about helping, trying to help Sam Darnold with the play action stuff and really basing their entire offense off of that wide zone. Did I lose you? Oh, you're there.
Yeah. No, I'm here. I've got a little bit of lag going on, of course. Yeah, both those signings, love them. I think it's always a good idea. I don't know what Buffalo's planning on doing at the running back position. Maybe they address that in the draft, but I feel that after last year, they could definitely use some help there too. And they're a team that I wish kind of did something a little bit more at the tight end position too. I think they were probably in on an Ertz trade. It sounds like that was a little too pricey for them. But I'd like to, you talk about the Chiefs kind of needing some help on the offensive line and wide receiver. I feel that way with the Bills at tight end.
For sure. And just Jets running backs, Michael P. Ryan was the rookie,
That's yeah.
and then Ty Johnson and then Josh Adams were kind of the other guys. So really nobody that is like, I mean, P. Ryan, I would think would be like would have been the guy going in there, but now with Coleman, like I feel like that he might actually even be like the lead guy at that point, unless you obviously they end up drafting someone, which they clearly could because there are some good running backs and they do
I'd
have a lot of picks.
I'd be shocked if they didn't add a back to that backfield, but
Yeah,
we will see.
that's not a very a backfield that really screams anything very good to say the least.
Yeah, yeah.
for the draft, and this kind of goes back to the wide receiver thing. Do you think because like wide receivers are coming into the league so prepared, and there's this wide receiver class is loaded? Do you think that that's what kind of has driven down the wide receiver market? Like even like Kenny Galladay waited till almost over a week, right, in the free agency till the Giants signed him, like, and he was supposed to be like the big name after Allen Robinson got tagged.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because there must be belief that this is a stronger class for this stuff to happen. Did you lose me again?
No, you're there.
All right, sorry about that.
You're good.
Um, it wouldn't be a Zoom podcast without internet
Right.
struggles, right?
Oh,
I
good.
was going to say that the last few years, we've seen a lot of receivers go in the first round and they haven't panned out. You go back to like your Laquan Treadwells, your even like Corey Davis hasn't done a whole lot. John Ross. There are a few other names I'm sure that you could bring up. So lately, I mean, last season you had your Justin Jefferson, like he hit right. So I don't know. I think it's still kind of a risky move to rely on a first round receiver based on the last 5 years. But everyone is saying that this class is deep. So I think it's risky, but I think a lot of teams seem to be wanting to go in that direction.
Yeah, I found that very interesting. That really they didn't. It doesn't. And like even the contracts, a lot of 1 year, a lot of like 6 to 8 to 10, unless of course you're the Patriots just forking over money to Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar, just giving them monster contracts compared to everybody else. But um, another I guess bigger name that just got signed is Joe Flacco to the Eagles. Does that do anything to Jalen Hurts' stock? Like it can't, right?
No, no, it's the same situation with the Jets behind Darnold, right? Like he's there for an injury, but he's not. There's no quarterback controversy. There's no open competition there. He's just there for veteran leadership.
Agreed. I agreed. I don't think that he does anything to Jalen Hurts. I would be shocked if the Eagles don't give Hurts, the reins and just say, hey, we're gonna see what we got with you, kid, and let's go for it. Um,
What did you think of Kenyon Drake?
yeah, that's. I mean, one, what are the Raiders doing? Like, just
That's exactly where I'm at.
just what are they doing? Like, their entire offensive line is basically gone, right? They ended up bringing back Incognito, I think I saw later, but like Trent
Yeah.
Brown, Gabe Jackson, all these guys are gone. And then, you know, you give a backup running back like 5 million a year, whatever he's giving him. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's bizarre to me. It's bizarre. I guess he might if he might be okay, but like how many snaps is he going to play? Like Josh Jacobs, I guess is the guy, but I guess really Jacobs, they don't use him in the pass game. Maybe he'll take the Jalen Richard role. Might have lost James there. That Jalen Richard just took him right out. But to me, that's got to be what they signed him for, right? You got to replace him somehow. And like even they even used Devin or Devontae Booker in that pass catching role last year, and he actually did it pretty decently. I think Drake is an upgrade, obviously over those two guys. He's more talented, but from like a standpoint of like the fantasy wise, I think that really hurts Drake. And as a guy that owns him in a dynasty league, that doesn't excite me at all because now you have Josh Jacobs, who's going to give you getting a blunt of the carries, and he'll be getting all the goal line touches. So it's definitely not great as far as his stock is concerned. Um, Not too many other moves as far as free agency is really concerned. It's like James had mentioned earlier. It was kind of it's getting to that point where it's quieting down. So we'll have to see what kind of moves are made here moving forward. The one thing that I did want to touch on when I just got a text from James saying his wireless just crashed. So the one thing I did just quickly we'll touch on right now is I've been talking to a few friends today about Tyler Lockett and like what to do with him. He seems to be a pretty up in the air, I guess, type of dynasty guy. So he is somebody that obviously he blew up at the beginning of the year last year and just went on a tear where he was getting, I think he had 50%, almost 50% of his fantasy points in the first like 3 or 4 weeks of the season. And then he just did nothing, right? So we kind of went through it on our wide receiver rankings, but now it's like, okay, so what do you do with him if you're a dynasty owner? And now there's the talks of Pete Carroll wanting to run the football more. Well, that also doesn't bode very well from him. And you have all the Russell Wilson talk about being unhappy and what's going to happen there. Um, to me, I'm looking to unload him. I would try to trade him as best as I could for as much as I could, if at all possible. And there's James. What's up, bud?
Hey man, sorry about that. My wireless crashed, but I'm back.
He's back. He's back.
I don't. Have you just been talking by yourself?
Dude, just vamping the whole time. No, so I
Very-
was talking about, and I want to get your perspective here because I've had a couple conversations with people today, ironically enough, about Tyler Lockett and what to do with him in Dynasty.
Yeah.
And to me, it's almost a point where, he had almost 50% of his fantasy points in the first few weeks. The Seahawks have talked about wanting to run the ball more. They did sign Chris Carson back. I guess that was another signing, right?
Yeah.
Which was kind of surprising. Didn't know if they were going to get him back. And then, Pete Carroll saying he wants to run the ball, Russell Wilson being unhappy. So to me, it's almost, I think at this point, you got to try to trade him for as much as you can.
In Dynasty?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, if I have him, he's a guy I would be looking to trade just because of the uncertainty of that offense. He got off to a hot start last year. Hopefully you sold high in him last year. I know that would have been a tough thing to do, but with Carson back, and who knows, maybe it's all smoke and mirrors, but they seem to be all about just wanting to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. So
Yeah.
I just do not trust that offense. I think DK Metcalf's a guy that I'd be fine with having on my team, and I'd like having Carson too for sure. But Lockett's kind of the odd man out for me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I am somebody who owns him.
I'll give you a third for him.
Third round in the rookie drafts are so hitter. It's just, you're just hoping it fits.
I'm trying to think of my best. Austin Hooper's a guy that comes to mind that I got in the third. You can get like your tight ends there. Maybe before we're switching to super flex at the start of the 2022 season, but before super flex, you might be able to get or maybe have gotten a decent quarterback in the third round. But there's probably some receivers and maybe a running back like Damian Harris. I think is a guy I got in the third round, and he may or may not amount to something. I think the jury's still out on that, but
I actually think that
it's a crapshoot.
one of my best was Kenny Galladay, but I think
I think Galladay was the third, right?
I was gonna say Galladay was either third or fourth, so I got him late, and he ended up hitting. But a lot of times those guys, man, you don't know. They're flyers.
No, even first round picks in Dynasty aren't sure things. I've struck out on a few of my picks there. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's always interesting when you end up looking back at those drafts and you see you're like, what was I doing?
yeah,
At the time, like some of these guys, like
I've missed on my best picks have been in the second round. I got Michael Thomas in the second round, Chris Godwin. I've missed on guys like Laquan Treadwell. He was a first round pick.
Treadwell was like a sure thing too.
Josh Dotson's another one of those first round names that we had talked about. That same draft, right? It was Treadwell, Dotson.
Yeah. That's a brutal draft. Wow.
Corey Davis was after that. There was another guy in that draft class that I feel like didn't do anything.
Yeah, I want to pull this up. No. I can't remember. Dotson, so who's he? Washington drafted him, right?
Yeah, Washington, Treadwell to the Vikings, and there's another. Was it John Ross? Was that same draft?
Oh my God, John Ross. Where's AK? We need AK to vamp about John Ross right now.
Yeah, where did he sign?
I don't know. He hasn't yet, has he?
No, he did.
Oh, did he? I just completely missed it.
Well, I don't blame you for that.
So 2019.
Giants.
Was it the Giants?
Yeah.
Huh. That's actually kind of interesting. That's actually kind of interesting. 2019. So I had the first overall pick. I drafted Josh Jacobs and I ended up trading him.
Perfect.
Perfect. And then I had the 10th pick in the first round. I took Darrell Henderson. Not great, Bob.
No.
Not great, Bob. In the first round of the 2019 draft, you had the 5th pick and you took Miles Sanders. Pretty good.
Well, plays for a team that doesn't want to use him, but
True. True. And then you took Damian Harris with the 12th pick in the second round.
oh, it was a second round pick. Okay.
Yeah, second round. You took Robbie Anderson in the third round of that one. That's a good pick.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
I've hit on some of those through like I don't know if hit's the right word, but like a Naheem Hines, I think was a third round pick I scooped up in one of the drafts, and he's been playable. You can put him in lineups as a flex.
Yeah,
You can take some flyers on running backs.
yeah, for sure. He's been solid.
Corey Coleman's the other wide receiver I was thinking of. It was the 2016
Yeah.
draft.
Oh, dude, that's just brutal.
Corey Coleman, Will Fuller is the only one that's panned out. Josh Dotson, Laquan Treadwell, those are all first round picks. Sterling Shepard was a second round pick. And then Michael Thomas, second round pick.
That's a good one. Dude, I'm just looking back at some of these drafts. Just crazy to see some of these names.
In our dynasty drafts.
Dude, I didn't even know this. I drafted Boston Scott in the 4th round of the 2018 draft. Looking back, that's not a terrible pick.
He's on my team now. Thank you for that.
That's not a terrible pick. Looking back at that, that's funny. That's funny. Free agency or anything?
No, I'm happy for my boy Chase Edmonds that Drake has moved on. I was kind of on record saying all of last season that I think Edmonds is the better back and just didn't get a full chance. So hopefully he gets a chance this year. In Arizona, I'm sure they'll look to bolster that backfield up too. But I'd like to see him get kind of a full crack at it.
How is your dynasty roster looking, you think, for next year?
I think it's going to be good. I had some injuries very early on. I lost Dak, Michael Thomas, Godwin missed a ton of time. Mixon, I ended up trading, but he had a lot of injuries. Miles Sanders, I think, missed some time. So I kind of committed to the tank early on. Obviously, honorably so. You know, I still fielded lineups and things like that. But I think if my team can stay healthy, I'll be in good shape. I've got the second overall rookie pick, and the 6th. So I'm either going to get a good running back or receiver or something like that. So
yeah,
I will look to defend my title from the year before.
Yeah, I won it last year, and my team is getting old, and it's looking like it's going to need to be turned over here pretty soon.
Yeah, I have concerns with like guys like Fournette and Matt Ryan that they're kind of nearing the end of their road, but
it is what it is. We might have to have a whole separate dynasty show and talk about our rosters and AKs and talk about how bad AK's roster is. And
I think as we approach the NFL draft and maybe get through the NFL draft, it'd be a good time to talk about like rookies and
no doubt
things like that.
Yeah, and just for the record, the Chicago Bears just tweeted out a picture of Andy Dalton, and it says QB1. So there's your Chicago Bears starting quarterback, everyone.
I do not get that. That's another one of those like Pace and Nagy are just like holding on by the skin of their teeth, and they're bringing in Andy. Like I get it, you can't go out and sign anybody you want.
No, but they just went out and signed the redheaded version of Mitch Trubisky.
Yes.
Like, what are you doing? I don't know. That'll be.
Would you rather have stayed with Trubisky?
I don't know how you do, but I also don't know how, if you know that your job is like on the line, how like that's your plan. You know what I mean? Like that can't be your plan. Like you can't go like, all right, we're gonna move on from Trubisky. Like your plan needs to be like, all right, we're gonna go get somebody that could like potentially start like a Jameis Winston. Like to me is a huge upgrade over Andy Dalton. Like that is, he might be 30 interceptions again, but he's gonna be 30 touchdowns, and he's gonna you know, at least be exciting.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know.
Mahomes can
I don't
throw for
know.
like 3,800 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 20 interceptions if he starts the whole year and just not be
I
good.
don't. I'd take the under on 26.
Yeah, right. It's 22, like maybe.
Yeah.
Brutal. But all right, let's get out of here. We're gonna have this show out on a Friday. So be the show coming out, and that'll be out on a Thursday. So be on the lookout. Well, I guess if you're watching that afterwards, you won't see it, so it won't matter. But make sure you're headed over to the Border Fuel channel. Check that out. Like, subscribe, smash the like button, everybody. JDiz1617 on Twitter for me, E24 on Twitter for him, and we will talk to you guys next time.